Great, thank you so much. Awesome, thank you all. Thank you so much for all being here today. We're overwhelmed by the number of visitors we have, and we're excited to have every last one of you here. We're sorry for those of you who have to stand for a little bit, but that should only be a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna do some group activities in different rooms, so seats will become available. So again, I'm sorry for those who have to stand, but we are very happy to have everybody, and we're really excited by the number of people here today. Just pause that, sorry. There we go, I'll fix that later. So apparently I'm also watching this webcast while hosting it. So that you know, we are streaming live on the internet. I may be panning the camera around. I just want to make you aware of that, just so you know. Just because of an awkward arrangement of slides, the first one is the agenda. So I'm just going to start with that, and then we'll do introductions in a second. So we got a pretty packed house today. Today's a little bit of a homecoming for us. We're really glad to see a lot of our members. I think everyone here. And a big theme of today's agenda is membership and activity and engagement in Hive, and what that looks like and what that means. So you'll see a lot of posters and prompts around that help signal some of our goals and some of our work. Keep an eye out for that. So we'll go through a number of different activities today, some small group work around moonshots. We'll have a share out from Vanessa Sanchez at Yellow Collie, and we'll connect remotely with people at the STEM Fest at the South Shore Cultural Center today. That should be fun. And we're gonna wrap up the day by talking about our membership process for the last 15 minutes. But to kick things off, I'd like to just hand the mic over to Sam Dyson to do some introductions and get us started.
Yeah, isn't that happy? Hi, everybody. It is an enormous pleasure to be here, and thank you to Connie and to MacArthur for providing us this opportunity to have our monthly meetup here at MacArthur. Just doing some brief introductions for the team before handing it over to Connie and to show a great video that introduces you to Connected Learning. But I'm Sam Dyson, the director of Hive Chicago. Where's Elsa? Elsa Rodriguez, programs manager for Hive Chicago. Give her some love. Robert Friedman, the inimitable Robert Friedman, portfolio strategist for Hive Chicago. And Kyle Solar, who may be out at the elevator. And she is our So this is the staff team, and we.
Oh, that works.
So we.
Is it bad that I don't know how to turn it back on?
I think it's good. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are here at MacArthur because the work that we are doing is part of a broader digital media and learning portfolio. And that has grown out of work started here at MacArthur, much of it spearheaded for the last 14 years by Connie Yell. And DML has just reached a huge benchmark in its growth, a 10-year point, 10-year anniversary, and those retrospectives that you saw there out in large format give you a sense of that digital media and learning portfolio. Over $100 million invested in empowering youth to engage in learning in the digital age. And out of that has grown Connected Learning. And advanced in very ambitious ways by the foundation and by Connie. So please join me in giving her a very warm thank you and welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I wanted to start, before I say anything, I just wanted to start with a video that is both thanks to Nat, who is our genius in terms of video production and storytelling, but also hopefully you'll recognize a lot of the work that is in this video, and so it's also thanks to you all. I asked Nat to put a video together that would show my board, the MacArthur board, the extraordinary beauty of your work over the last couple of years, and that was what he put together. And so you guys have just been doing extraordinary work, and I want to thank you for that. And now we're using this video everywhere, and if anybody wants to use it, we'll put it up so that you guys can use it as well. And only Nat knows how to make the lights work. So first, welcome home. Really happy to have you guys here today. I want to say just a couple of things about me so you know who I am. And then also what Sam has asked me to do is just to give you a little bit of a historical perspective about both DML and the Hive in terms of context for the work. And so that's what I'm going to do for the next 10 minutes. So I am the Director of Education here at MacArthur. And I'm ancient, as Sam mentioned. I've been here for 14 years. Prior to that, I was an associate professor at UIC in the School of Education. And did teacher preparation for 8 years, and I am my background, I have a PhD in developmental psychology, and so I did all of my research in Pilsen, actually, and did a ton of work with adolescents and Latino kids, spending most of my time at Wards High School and in the Pilsen community, trying to understand how Latino youth understand their future and what that means for their connection to high school and to future pursuits. So that's a little bit of my background. And I came to the foundation, I'm now transitioning into the boards. I want to really tell you the story of the boards out there, and then how that has gotten us to where we all are today in some of this work. So I came to MacArthur in 2000, and in 2000, we were, the foundation was running a very large-scale district reform initiative. And it was an initiative that in many respects looks a lot like Arnie Duncan has been running as Secretary of Education. Really focused on district reform, teachers as the center of change, all of which is fine and good. We put $35 million into it. We were in 3 different districts, and we saw no change. And my board was paying attention, and I was paying attention too. And they said, there's got to be something better we can do with our philanthropic dollars. So remember, this is about 2002, 2003. We had a couple of very thoughtful folks on our board. a guy named John Seeley Brown, who was head of Xerox PARC, who said, you know, there's a lot of things happening in the digital world. We should really think about whether or not kids are learning differently because of digital media, and maybe MacArthur should explore that. Then I had just come out of UIC and doing lots of teacher prep, and I said, I think that's the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard. I'm not doing that. But it wasn't really my decision. So we started doing a deep dive. And the first thing we did, and that's the first two boards, the first thing we did was to really want to sort of go back to first principles and spend an enormous amount of time with youth and with kids, to free ourselves from institutional constraints, to free ourselves from adult goals and adult perspectives, and to just say, how do kids understand the digital world? How do they understand how to use digital media in ways that we as adults might not, because we see these things as tools? And so we funded the largest ethnographic study ever conducted to understand not how many hours a day kids use digital media, which is the kinds of studies that are most prevalent, but really how do young people participate with digital media? What do they do with it? And then we really wanted to understand, what does that mean for learning? What does that mean for social interaction? What does that mean for civic engagement? And we learned so much, and it really, for those of you who sort of are educators, and I'm a Deweyite, and really are sort of deep in constructivist and progressive education, we were shocked by what we saw kids doing online and realized, oh my God, these are the Deweys of the 21st century. There's extraordinary amounts of things we can do with these digital tools that actually connect to what we understand robust learning to look like. And we now, with these tools, have the opportunity to redesign learning experiences. So with the research that we had begun to fund, we started doing whole sets of design experiments wherever and whenever we could, with games, with social media, with mobile, with virtual worlds, to just sort of begin to think about how can we redesign the learning experience. Doesn't matter where it happens. Could be in the home, could be in after school, could be in museums, could be in libraries, but how do we want to define what the learning experience of the 21st century ought to look like? And so we did a ton of work with that. And then we had this sort of, oh my God moment, which was to say, kids are doing different things online. We can design really different kinds of learning experiences that are peer-driven, that are production-oriented in all the ways that we've started to talk about with connected learning. Not sure this really looks like what's happening in our traditional institutions. But our traditional institutions are where the adults are, which is what really matters. And it's where a lot of our financial resources are. So how do we help? Remember, this is in about 2004. This is before Facebook. This is before iPhone even. How do we begin to help our learning institutions begin to think about how to transform for the 21st century? And one of the things that we learned from the kids from our ethnographic study, and we had sort of coined this phrase of schools a node on their network of learning, because kids are learning everywhere. And so we really started to think about, okay, participation is part of what matters for learning. Production is part of what really matters for learning in the 21st century. That's part of what the digital media is transforming. And networks really matter for the 21st century. And so how do we start helping institutions transition around those three things? And so we started working with this, Mary Dempsey was the head of the Chicago Public Library at that time. And so we started working with the Chicago Public Library for what is now UMedia. We did a lot of work with the Field Museum at that time in virtual worlds. I don't know if folks remember a lot of, Elizabeth Babcock was at the Field Museum at that time, and we were doing a ton of work there. We worked a ton with Global Kids in New York. Digital Youth Network was formed here in Chicago. A lot of the work that is now the Digital Media and Learning Initiative and has grown to have national significance actually has all come out of Chicago. And as we started doing that work and really working institution by institution and just trying to get a sense of what institutions ought to look like, we still had this phrase in our head, which was, okay, schools are just a node on a young person's network of learning. If the future of learning is networked, what does a networked infrastructure look like for learning for young people? And how do we think about that? How do we start networking our institutions where young people are learning so that we can really begin to have kids be able to move across networks, across institutions, and so that the institutions are learning from each other, and what would that look like? And it was really out of exploring those questions that the Hive was born. And we started in New York. Diana wrote and founded the first Hive Learning Network in New York. Nicole Pinker founded the second one here in Chicago shortly thereafter. And the whole idea was both, how do we begin to network the most important learning institutions? Because we know that innovation is going to happen at the edge. And we think that the informal learning institutions that you all are at the center of is where the most important innovation is going to happen for learning in the 21st century. And that innovation is going to happen through networks, which means networking your organization so that you're working together and sharing your work. And what does that look like? And how do we do that? And then we had some questions we were trying to figure out, which was, okay, is this a network for youth that is youth-facing? Is this a network for adults where the practitioners are really coming together and learning from each other? And then we were also sort of really pushing hard on, okay, we got to have all your data because we really have to figure out where all the kids are and how to connect all of those kids. And I was like, oh my God, that's way too much for one group to be working with. How do we figure this out? And then we were trying to figure out, okay, in the political world of schools and learning, we really have to make sure that in the informal learning space, the learning that's happening in the Hive Learning Networks has to be made visible. We have to figure out how to take the burden off of your innovation work and make it visible for others and make it count, or else you will spend all of your time worried about standardized tests, worried about your connections to schools, and trying to figure out how to manage Common Core. But innovation will never happen in that context. And so how do we make the incredible learning that you see in that you guys are doing that was represented in that video, how do we make that visible? And how do we connect it in a way that you guys don't have to worry about it, but it gets embedded in your work? And from that, the badges work was born, which was to say, how can we create a really lightweight infrastructure that takes the best of technology, connects your work, makes your work visible to parents and to kids so that they can find it wherever it's happening, and makes it count in ways that you guys don't have to worry so much about in terms of standardized assessments. And so we launched a whole competition on badges. Some of you participated in it. We did a ton of experiments on how to badge. And then an interesting thing happened, which was Ron called and said, I want to badge all the work in Chicago. And again, Chicago, I don't know why Chicago is always at the forefront of all this work, but we decided we've got the Hive. This is where the work was born. Why don't we try to experiment with that? And so, as you know, over the last 2 summers, we have been working really diligently with you all and with the city to figure out what is the best way to do this that is in the best interest of the organizations, that's in the best interest of the kids, that's grounded in the principles of connected learning, so that we have a way of really making visible the learning that's happening in your organizations, that's driven by the principles of connected learning, that takes advantage of your best work and enables you to do your best work, while also making sure that the learning is visible and it counts in ways that we want it to count, but isn't cannibalized by schools or Common Core, but where it's appropriate can connect to Common Core, can connect to employment, can make learning relevant. And so that's what the Cities of Learning and the badging work is about. It is about taking advantage of all of the extraordinary work you're doing and providing a lightweight infrastructure so that you can keep doing what you're doing, and we can connect you in a networked way for youth and parents and make the work visible. So we've had, in any innovation approach, as you guys all know, it's really messy. And you pay an innovator's tax for being the first ones to use it and to be a part of it, and I thank you all for that. And I think we're just about to get to the 2.0 version, and it's going to be much better, and that's what we're hoping, that's where we're moving to for summer of 2015. But you guys are the premier city that both has a Hive Learning Network, has a robust city of learning, and really has the opportunity to show why a city is a unit for learning for the 21st century in addition to a school system. And that's really what we're after now. We've got an understanding and an approach to learning that we call connected learning. We have a networked set of institutions that are really humming and working. I mean, look at you all. It's extraordinary what Sam and his team and Robert and Elsa have built in terms of really transforming the Hive Learning Network from where it was when we first started to where you guys are now. And Maria has been doing an extraordinary job with the fund, and so I just want to thank you all for your collective efforts. And now we have a way of making what you're doing visible and transparent to parents and youth in the city and to funders who need to count things, right? But not in ways that you have to be held accountable to Common Core, which is not a bad thing, but you only want to be held accountable to things when it's appropriate to your work, not when it's appropriate to somebody else's work. And you guys are doing the most innovative work in learning and the work that is in the best interest of kids in terms of all of the things around making and creating and production and participation in the interest of kids. And so we're on the cusp of having an incredibly robust and exciting approach to learning in Chicago that no other city has. And I want to thank you for your work, and I can't wait to see what's going to come out in 2015 from all of the efforts that you're putting in. Thanks.
So much, Connie. I really appreciate the words. I just learned a lot myself that I didn't know, so I hope you guys feel like you got some context from that too, if you did not have before. So we're going to keep the context coming and keep the sort of story of Hive, story of connected learning going. And Sam's going to speak to us next about sort of Hive as a platform. So I think one of the things that Connie pointed out that we have been trying very hard to build together with you and may emerge in our conversations today is the effort to make it all visible and to make it visible in a way that compels people to adopt it. And so I think Sam's going to talk about exactly how we do that. You ready?
Yeah.
I gotta click things.
Okay, so, hi everybody. It really would not be an overstatement to say that this work and this community really wouldn't be here were it not for Connie's vision and commitment to this. So I really just want to thank you again for significantly spearheading. Those of you who don't know Connie may not know she is hard driving and is intense in focus and vision for what is possible in this city. And it's really stretched us in important ways, and you have answered that call. So thank you sincerely. Yeah.
Do I hit play on this one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So I am giving you a bit of an intro to what the Hive is for those who may be new. By stepping into this room, you are joining a community of people who are passionate about serving young people and creating learning opportunities that connect across the city. To use the words of the members in this community, we are solutionaries. But we're here because we realize that no one of us has all the solutions, and we need one another to build solutions together. We have a shared vision that's emerged over the last 5 years of this network for Chicago as a connected community where all learning counts. That's the connected learning piece. We believe in equitable access for young people to the opportunities we offer, and that those experiences should connect through learning pathways, that innovation should be sustained, and that all of that should have demonstrated value throughout the city. You are an essential piece of that work. Hive is an emergent context for responding to what learning looks like in the digital age. As an emergent context, the members of this community are vital and essential. The foundation. You are the foundation. Membership is an important piece, which you will find out about, but this is an open community that all are invited to be part of. We believe, and a growing body of research supports, that the kinds of problems that we're trying to solve in education are complex problems, they're big problems, and they are not susceptible to efforts by individuals. We need one another to solve hard problems together, and that's why we're here. So we need you. We need you, and we're going to talk to you about membership. But this is not a walled community. It is an open community. You do not have to be a member to contribute to this work. Membership is a way to gain deep value and to contribute deeply. But if you read our blog, and I hope you've checked out some of the recent posts that have been going up from members and non-members alike, there are a lot of reasons to be connected to the community, and we hope that you will see it as an open place. As Connie mentioned, not only are we an emerging context as a network, but we are working within a broader emerging context that we are supported by and are contributing to. The Chicago City of Learning is one such piece of that citywide effort to create an infrastructure for connected learning. We are already finding opportunities to gain benefits from that and contribute to it, and we should continue to do so. Thrive Chicago is another citywide collective impact effort that many of you are actually already engaged in. This is a place where Hive has a lot of assets to contribute, and we should do so. We are in pursuit of our fourth goal of demonstrating value beyond the network, already reaching out in significant ways to do that through, for example, Destination Chicago maker parties that are reaching not only teens, but families, youth of all ages. So what do we do? What is the essence of what we contribute to the city? Hive has many faces. I would like to speak to two broadly. One is Hive as a service provider, as a provider of services. We, through what you do, provide connected learning programs and spaces for youth. That's a core piece of the service that the network provides in the city. We provide supports for educators. These monthly meetups are a big part of building a professional community that grows and learns together. A third piece of the service provided to the city by the Hive is an innovation pipeline that's supported by the stakeholders like MacArthur and Chicago Community Trust that provide funds that enable ideas to grow from glimmers to things that can spread and scale to solve hard problems. But that's one of our faces as a service provider. I think another very important one is for Hive as a platform for building solutions on which you can build solutions and the rest of the city can build solutions. When we say solutions, primarily we mean programs for teens throughout the city that give connected learning experiences and resources for educators that can be adapted, remixed, and used in new contexts. The Moonshots work is about helping us take the aspirations we have, connect them to the solutions we already generate, and make sure that they're solving the persistent challenges that none of us can solve on our own. This is your invitation to contribute, but it's not an invitation to contribute to our work. Hive ought to be work that contributes to what you do in the service of youth that you have. And so welcome and thank you for being here and part of this effort. We're now going to take a minute in this, continuing this line to make sure what we are doing connects to what you are doing and that our work is pushing your work in important ways. We're going to take a minute to have some conversation with people around you about the goals of the network. So all of you should have a sheet here on the table. And we want to give you a minute to just talk about how the goals that have emerged from the members of this network, how they connect to the work that you do, and how it is helping and can and ought to continue helping advance your work. So let's just take a moment to do that.
Yeah, just do a parent share, talk to your neighbor, take a look at the goals, and really try to ask yourself, what do these goals mean to me? How do these resonate with what I'm already doing in my work every day? Yeah, anybody, just turn it. Person I am. Introduce yourself.
I came to
geography, that sort of thing. But it's been part of that for a while. In order to access it, you got to address that in
gonna bring it back. Thank you so much for. I thank you so much for sharing with each other. We're gonna have a couple different opportunities to talk to each other, hear from us, etc. So I don't mean to cut you off. I hate doing that, but I have the unfortunate job of doing it. So there it is, and I thank you for giving me your attention. So you've heard us say a lot about. I should turn this mic thing on, right? Oh, it is. You've heard me say that, you've heard us use the word moonshot a lot, you've seen these posters around the room and elsewhere. And so what I was gonna do right now is kind of walk you through what that is. Of course, the term comes particularly because I'm an astronaut nerd, so I just picked moonshot as my thing, because I was always inspired by that. Anyway, so moonshot is really a call to action. It's something that is attainable, you know, but like really hard to reach. But something we can do. So we're trying to identify those things that we can actually point at. So let me explain sort of what we mean by moonshot, what we mean by an attainable goal, in a fun little slideshow that I did back in like April or whatever. So some of you may have seen this. If so, you can roll your eyes and just bear with me for a second. It's also a little silly. But you know, we together as a hive have embarked upon a journey, and it really is a journey to leverage and capitalize on all the conversations that we've been having for 5 years. A lot of times we spend talking about what we should do and what we want to do, and our journey really begins with those goals that we've identified. But those goals are really aspirational, like equity and pathways. Those are not things you've ever really stopped striving for, right? When you ever stop reaching for equity or more equitable access to things. So what we need are concrete end states, right? We need milestones. We need something to reach towards to say, okay, we did that. It was really hard, but we did it, and we're so much closer to where we want to go. So the moonshots are really just our way of saying, like, here's where we want to go. It's on the way to our aspirations. But this picture's a little too clean, the road's a little too straight, a little too narrow. Our work is not a straight and narrow road to a goal or a milestone. Our work's a little messier, it's more of an adventure. And so as an analogy for what we do, I like to use The Legend of Zelda, which is a video game from the 80s that I have a particular affinity for. It's a story of a magical land beset by evil. An evil sorcerer has come to the land and unleashed monsters upon the world. And he's taken the only thing that can destroy him, and he's destroyed it and scattered it into these like temples like that are underground. And so you know it's chaos in this land. But this hero has emerged, and he's going to save the day, and he's going to go try to retrieve the pieces to conquer this wizard. And so Link has a really aspirational goal. He's going to rid his land of evil. And anyone who's beat the game knows that even when he beats the bad guy, there's still monsters around. You can play again, it's pretty cool. So, so Link has to rid the world of evil. And what's nice about the game is the game's actually designed to have specific milestones. So every time you beat a temple, you're one step closer to the aspirational goal of destroying evil in the world. So, you know, Link has to reach these temples, these moonshots. But the challenge of reaching these temples is that there are challenges along the way. It's not so simple to get to the temples, and the temples themselves are a little complicated. Puzzles and labyrinths, and you gotta really explore. So Link's gotta overcome challenges and make his way to this temple. And along the way, you know, there are monsters that are obstacles. They're just like in his way. There's like water he has to cross. There are things that are in the way. There are blockers that we have to clear. There are things that we need to overcome. But challenges are not always just obstacles. Sometimes they're opportunities too. So sometimes there are things there that can help you along the way. You have fun. And that's a challenge in and of itself. So there's fairies that can restore his health. There are bridges that help him get across the river. So our challenges are not just always obstacles and things that are negative. Sometimes they're positive things too. And what we do, or what Link does, is he generates solutions. He finds a way through this world that enables him to reach these moonshots, right? So he identifies some obvious solutions, some existing solutions, like, you know, just walking through this thing. You actually just dodge everything most of the time if you need to. That's fun to kill them. But innovative solutions sometimes are needed too. It's building a raft to cross an impenetrable sea. So the solutions are a big part of this too. And we talked about this for a long time. Is The Legend of Hive. It's our work, right? We are the hero solutionaries who are trying to overcome our challenges and reach our moonshots. So I really think, you know, that was a little tongue-in-cheek and fun, but it is a great analogy, and it keeps going because you can't really overcome your challenges alone. You need help, and in Zelda there are people along the way who help Link out. You need to equip yourself with a diversity of different perspectives and wise people. You also have to build an inventory, right? You need to be able to curate, right, your toolkit. What are the existing solutions? What are the maps? What are the tools that are going to help you along the way? So here's where it gets like real. We actually are trying to do this right now. So some members of this community, and we'll get to them in a second, are setting up pages on our website that describe our moonshots. There are inventories. There are collection of tools and maps, and they feature a couple things that you can't really read here, but important are a narrative which describes what the moonshot is, what the challenges are, exemplary solutions, which are like the best practice, best ways forward towards meeting those, and also seed solutions, which are opportunities for other people to join in by giving them an idea. Like, this is a great idea for a solution, why don't you join us? So this is a curated inventory to help communicate what we're doing and invite other people and provide an on-ramp for them to get started. And as Sam said, the solutions are not necessarily a fancy app on an iPhone. We're talking about the work that you do, programs, events, projects, collaborations, the things we're already doing. Let's make those visible and let's invite other people to join us. So that's really what the moonshots are about. They're about building these solutions, and they're about a direction that we want to go in to overcome our challenges. So we've gone from goals, we've gone from like really like DML context to goals to moonshots. Let's get specific by what some of these things are. What are some of the actual challenges or character or groups of challenges? What are our moonshots? So what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to invite moonshot accountables. These are the people who are sort of in charge. They're the stewards. They're the maybe like the wise old man in the cave type people. Who are guiding these moonshots. We're helping us get this information online. So if you would just stand up if you're a moonshot accountable real quick. I know that's super embarrassing all the time. If you're one of the travel response fest or an accountable for that group, just stand up. Awesome. Yay. Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. So they do deserve applause because they've been doing a lot of work actually. So what I'd like you guys to do is just take a moment and announce to the community today, what is the moonshot that you're working on? In under 2 minutes, what is it about? We're going to do a round robin of all six of them, and then we're actually going to break up into separate spaces on this floor to do some small group discussion around that stuff until later this morning. So Jen, just because you're in front, and I know you love going first.
My name is Jen Bundy. I'm from the Adler, and I'm working on the transportation moonshot group. I'm, again, Jennifer Bundy from the Adler on the transportation moonshot group. And so what we're talking about is some of the challenges we have in reaching students that aren't already involved in programs or that want to be involved in programs and have been in the past, but maybe are now encountering challenges in getting there physically. So we're talking about issues around safety and like getting to places where you can catch buses and trains, and then also access, so places that aren't easily accessible by public transportation or take super long to get there. So a lot of our solutions are around those issues, and just raising awareness to people that maybe can help us make some changes. And so we have started a blog on a WordPress, which you can share out if you're interested, to just sort of curate some of the things that we've been talking about in resources. And also we're just trying to collect information from you all about how you deal with getting kids to programs, like what you're already paying for them to come out to see you, or are you busing them, and things like that. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Manuel Lee, and I'm with the Youth Voice Moonshot Group. Deb Carr is my partner in crime in that group. So the Youth Voice Moonshot Group is interested in finding out ways that we can successfully integrate young people in the work at the Hive, not just as program participants, but also as young people who help us identify and provide solutions to the issues that we have. So one of the things that we really wanted to think about was how we can involve young people in our conversations. We as adults and program leaders of our organizations meet on a monthly basis, but we really don't have a space within the Hive right now to involve young people in the conversations related to the network. So since the spring, we've talked about just inviting young people to our meetings. We've had a couple of meetings where we had young people, meeting with us at our tables. We tried meeting during the summer. we realized it was a huge challenge because the young people who are most interested in leading are also the ones that are really involved in each of our programs. Fortunately, summer is over and we now are jumping into a new school year. We were able to recruit young people to come together for a launch of a youth gathering. This happened last night. We had 10 organizations, about 20 teens involved in conversations with us. They all had fun, they all were fed, and they want to come back in 2 weeks. So I think we finally got a critical mass of young people to think about the Hive, to think about what the Hive means, and we're really excited to continue talking to them about what Hive can do for young people across the city.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Steele, and I am at eMedia at Chicago Public Library. And actually David Build is my co-accountable in the Peggy Note of Art Nature Museum. And our Moonshot group is really talking about the ultimate hub, and really that relates to OnRep. So essentially, how are teens becoming activated into our Hive programs? And we feel that a lot of what the other groups are talking about plays a huge factor into what that means for us. Because for us, we feel like we're the visibility portion. So how are we making these programs visible? How are we making sure that there is not only buy-in from teachers and parents, but from the kids themselves to actually buy into what this whole connected learning thing is all about? Because they need to buy into it as well, because they are also existing in a system that is a little bit more traditional than we all here are thinking. And so that's really a large part of what we're trying to figure out and trying to understand. And some of that is really literally beginning with how do you find out about programs? What type of advertisements attract you to want to do a program? If you started a program, why aren't you doing that program anymore? And really understanding sort of where teens are, where the parents are, where the community is, that we can begin to make these things physically visible in all of our common spaces, whether it's libraries or parks or churches or whatever that is, where we can just get the information out and start from that way, as well as some other sort of citywide maker parties, all learning everywhere all the time. All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Romania Solorsino, and I'm from the Center for College Access and Success at Northeastern, and I'm working with the Hive School Moonshot group with Eve Tolbert, who's going to lead us with take our torch to London. We're really interested in creating bridges between the Hive and schools and classrooms and teachers. So everything that we were hearing about earlier today about how all this amazing connected learning is happening outside of the classroom, but how do we bring it into the classroom? That's what we're focused on. And we started by creating a survey just for Hive orgs to find out what kind of PD opportunities you all have. How do you work with teachers? We want to put together a survey with teachers to find out, well, what are the challenges for you? If you're interested in this kind of work, what's holding you back? What kind of supports do you need? And we want to kind of create a teacher Hive network so that the teachers have access, are more involved in what the work we're doing here. So that's what we're doing. Thank you.
I'm Eve Dowse. Jeremy Dunn is my co-partner, and we are heading up the think tank. So we are looking at data is our big emphasis, and basically how can we use data to better serve our programs and run our programs. So particularly looking at evaluation. We all do evaluation, so how can we do evaluation better? And how can we take the data that we've gathered from the evaluation, make sense of it, and then improve our programs. So that's mostly what we're looking at, and hopefully you all. So potential solutions we're looking at is how do we integrate into what the Hive is already doing so that we're not making separate asks on your time. So integrating into deep dives, into standing meetings, things like that, so that it just becomes a part of the conversation of Hive. So hopefully you'll join us.
Hi guys, my name is Kat Graham. I'm from Iridescent. Rabia and Ayaz and I are working to lead the Engaging and Educating Chicago Parents Moonshot. So we are all programs that are focused primarily on youth, and parents are another audience that, in order to do the pathways work that Jen mentioned and the School to Hive connection piece that Eve mentioned, or Romania mentioned, parents are a really important part of that as well. And we know that parents are really poised to be coaches for youth across, like connecting their learning across these different contexts. So the learning that's happening in our programs, but also the learning happening in school, things that are happening at home. And we are investigating ways that we're already doing this in our network, and how we could be better reaching parents outside of our network, and also just solutions for, reaching those parents, doing better communication, and helping them see connected learning as something that's valuable both to them and to their youth. So come and join us.
All right, so those are our 6 groups. They're also on the info sheets, cheat sheets that you've got in front of you. If you don't have a glossy, colorful Hive sheet, make sure you grab one for me before you leave today, just because it's got a lot of useful information about our work and kind of summarized. What we're going to do now is the people who just spoke to you are going to lead small group discussions around their moonshots. Now, they have an agenda. They have to get something done. They're going to London in a week, and they need to present some of this stuff. So they have a couple of asks of you, probably. So I think there's going to be about 15 minutes, maybe 20, to sort of have an open-ended discussion. If you want to learn more about this stuff, or you just want to have one of those conversations about, ideas and stuff. That's cool. We can just chat. But then for the last 20 minutes of their time, they might be asking you for some feedback. So I appreciate it if you gave it to them. And I'm just trying to support them by saying that. And I know you guys are all going to be awesome and giving and helpful. So what we're going to do is we're all not yet, but when I say go or something like that, we're going to get up and shuffle. So what I want you to do right now is take a look at this list of rooms and groups that you want to become engaged with. If you are right now unable to see the screen or something, take a look at the sheet in front of you. On the back in the orange section, it also lists those groups, not where they're going to be, just because we were aware of that at the time. But I'll tell you where they are verbally. The Youth Voice and High School Connections groups, both of which are usually pretty large, are going to stay in here and use the tables. The think tank and shining a light on transportation groups are going to move back out into the atrium. That's all the way out into the DML gallery space where we all started. And they're going to use the chairs and couches there. I just want to give a word of caution to those groups that people are working today. We're working, so I don't know. I guess everyone's working today, but some people are working quietly in their offices. So if you can, keep it down, just don't get raucous. No throwing things or broadcasting. Then we have 2 small breakout rooms. They're little conferencing rooms where we did the connected learning activities. One of them should be labeled Bumblebee and the other Honeybee. It's a little tough to tell the photos apart, but if you're good, try to do it by visual only. However, they are also able with words. So those will host the Bumblebee room, will host the Ultimate Hub on-ramps group that's with Jen shared, and the Honeybee room will host the Educating Parents room group, and that's what Kat shared at the end. So take a second, roll over what you want, but only a second, because we do need to be back in this room at 9:25. We have share outs and a remote connection to make that we don't want to be late on.
No.
Sorry, 11:25. Thank you so much. We're just actually staying here all day until tonight. Actually, we're going to do that in January, so please don't do that later. But 11:25, we'll be back in this room, seated and ready to move on to the next thing. So why don't we get up now, go where you're going to go, get that show started, and come back at 11:25. Thank you so much.
I don't know where to go. You're going to Chicago.
I'm going to parents. I'm here for you. Right.
Do you have Robert's phone number? I think we're on. Okay, because Robert just called Sida's text.
Tell them to call me.
She said, yeah, she replied. She replied at 1 minute ago. Okay. I told her to come over here. She replied, okay.
It's not doing this.
So let's just take this.
All right, we got planned. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Robert?
So we're gonna go live at 11:40.
We just want to make sure we got the setup right. All right, cool. We're gonna do a little walking around. Oh, wait.
But I think to Brother White's point and to T's point, the special thing, this day is aligned with in my mind, adults agenda late on Fridays with adults. Right. And there's maybe they could. Yeah. Well, and it could maybe it could be a couple hours on Saturday. Maybe they can Friday. Maybe there's privileges like ours, Friday evening or something like that.
Can you hear me?
That's important to me. But again, whatever they vote for,
They want to please you. They do.
we need to.
And they snap her in class. They like went over my coworker and Jackson like, stop it. You're in class. Like, and they snapped her in
Is that cider? Is that cider? Yeah. I got it to work. Is that camera on?
It looks blue, yeah.
So I got it to work. At 11:40 to go. So I'm trying to figure out where I should set this up temporarily so that people can just look at How are you?
Good.
To
How are
see
you?
you. Good.
What's going on?
Snapfest.
Oh, that's today.
Yeah. So be a lot of kids all over the place.
It's good. It's good. How have you been?
Good.
Cool.
Can't complain. Yeah.
And we still got our office.
I know. I saw that. You got a plaque and everything.
Yeah, it's not bad right up there. We're pretty lucky.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Everything else been good?
Yeah. Very good.
Cool. Good seeing you,
Take care.
Natasha. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Thanks.
No. In fact, I got it to work, so I'm just going to set it up right here. Sure. Okay, then we'll be able to keep it. I just leave it here for
You see our being on your land. You're going to start shopping here. Just as enterprise, you see these and see. You see these and see. Our shop is going out there is overflowing in the past. So stay safe as well. But you see Carly, or Andy, Carly, you're going to face an engineering challenge. You are going to, let me say it, R&D, and then also the STEM fair, you're already learning. When I say go, you stand out and you're going to head out the doors over here. And my team is going to go holding up sheets of paper that say GK, you are, you see the labels? You're going to take them down here, and you're going to look for folks that can go downstairs, and in 3 teams, you're going upstairs. Does anyone understand what we're about to do? Educators, I want you to know, raise your hand right now if you want to ask us. What's your name yourself? All right, that's If you're going to successful, we're all in
They had got on something sad. That's
go outside.
like me, I know enough about certain things, but I try Pick a group.
I don't know. I know that's S.
What are you guys doing here? For Just one more lecture. Oh, he has a presentation.
Are they still both 30 minutes long? And she's asked, but I don't see any.
Yeah, I know. I feel done with you. Hi.
No, it's not on yet. But I just want to tell you I got it working.
And we design those cards and modify them. And the tools we're going to teach you about today was
leading that awesome section. So pretty much part of us growing as a network really involves us learning from each other and constantly adding knowledge to what we do. So a part of the way that we can do that just happened right now in Moonshots, but also can happen through our funded projects. And so today we'll hear from Vanessa Sanchez, who's just wrapped up the badge guidebook at Yollocalli, and kind of the culmination of that, and she'll invite you to take a look at that. We'll also hear from a project that's actually at an event right now that just started about a month ago. And we're just trying to share more about what's happening with our projects while they're happening, the things that we're learning, in addition to the polished, beautiful end states that we get to, so that we can learn about the process a little better. So now I'm going to present the lovely, oh yes, okay. If you do not have one of these, please raise your hand. And the HAG staff will come around and give that to you, so keep those hands up. Cool. So it's my pleasure now to present the wonderful Vanessa Sanchez, Director of Yollocalli, and she's going to show you what her team's been working on all summer in collaboration with some of their teams.
There's some open seats, I think.
I'm going to see if you just hit the side. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. She knows how to do it.
Hi everyone, Vanessa Sanchez. I'm the director of Yollocalli Arts Reach, which is the teen and youth program of the National Museum of Mexican Art. It was actually in 2012, I want to say, YOLO, we started to come into high meetings, hear about badges, be a little bit skeptical because we're like, wait, this sounds like grading. We're scared. We don't want to do that. But guess what? We're like, so we get a little bit home.
I'll do a quick intro and then let you guys do your thing.
Kind of help other organizations who are a little bit don't like badges are, why should we get? All right. are connect your organization to another organization. So badges can be a nice way to allow that learning to be applicable to, say, a science program or a Mix the Challenge program. Solve me grants, that's why I said that. So for us, our process started off with talking with other organizations. We talked with the Adler Planetarium, where Robert was at the time. We talked to the Chicago Architecture Foundation. We talked to Digital Youth Network. We talked to this other great group called AS220 Youth in Rhode Island. And they all had different ways of doing badging. So some of them are using them for pathways. Some of them are using to just map out what the young people are learning throughout their space. And so for an organization like AS220, who didn't do any badging online, which is something else that we kind of were trying to understand, is do we want to do badges online or do we want to do badges in a different sort of way that can fit our program? At AS220, it's just a chart on a wall where young people can see every day when they walk in, and they track what they're learning on that wall. So that was kind of nice for us to see that it doesn't have to be the space online that you're not connected with and that you are unsure that your young people would ever want to go on at all. But how can you still make it beneficial for you and for your young people? I'm sorry, I say young people a lot. What we discovered after we did some badging through the first CECL, the first Chicago City of Learning, is that it didn't work out for us. So what do we really need? Let's really get that youth input, and let's get our youth council helping us create more badges for us and helping us really break down what are they learning at Yollocalli, what are they benefiting from us, what are they really receiving from us after they leave our program. So it's really nice to hear that input. It helped us come up with a language so that the badge, when we're saying you are receiving this badge, doesn't sound like something maybe in the school, but sounds like something that they could understand or that they want their other friends to understand, or another, maybe an outside employer. And what else? And then after that, we just kind of went over what we learned after the whole summer of 2013, and then the summer of 2014, and we covered that this your teacher and say, recreate and decide what badges they want. Their program, the teaching artists decide what teaching artists specific to the classes that they're teaching. So our street art class made one that was about, selecting the best location in the streets. Our camera and video program created one about Illuminati because he decided to teach these children about Illuminati. Another great resource were
Oh my God. All right. Yes, it's my iPad. We're good. Oh yeah, they're by the here at.
To become a bigger thing than our youth council is a youth night at the National Museum of Mexican Art. If you would like to come, if you want your young people to come, if you want to be involved, please reach out to me. Or go to our website, yollocalli.org. I'll post something. I have this coming up for you. But it's November 7th from 6 to 10 p.m. We're going to have, I don't know if you get photo booths, raffle prizes, some workshops, one for visiting button we're really excited about, some art vendors that the young people chose to really, that they know that their friends, DJs that they chose. So everything is created by our council. So whenever I'm trying to talk about it, I'm like, so hard for me because they made it, and I don't want it to sound like something. Another thing that we're a part of is the Hive Challenge. I'm sure you've seen the first post. A few of us, National Women's in Art, National Veterans Festival, and Project Inspiration.
Yeah, girl.
Oh, girl.
I forget.
Well, all being part of this challenge, we have an opportunity to win an extra $50,000 that we raise. I want to give to the museum. I'll jump up and down for you. But you can also give to other great Chicago organizations or any other Hive organizations challenge. Everything that we raise on this challenge is still provided to the organization in money. But then there's different challenges throughout the week that you can try to win as well. So this week is raising $12,000. You get an extra bonus cost. So. For your time. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amari.
Now we're going to be doing complicated. So we try to do that as much as possible.
I gotta see. Oh, I guess I could do this.
And what we're going to try to do right now, we're going to connect with STEM Fest, that's Natasha, Project Exploration, and what might be Soda.
Robert. Robert, can you hear us? Okay, so anyway, if you can't hear us, we are at STEM Fest Chicago 2014. Right now, what we have going on here is students are actually going to the gallery. He goes to Logan and he's being shy. But hold on, Sida and Amarisa got lots to say.
Okay, so we have schools here from Bronxville, which is Kenwood. We have Infinity, we have Gage Park, we have all kinds of different schools. Oh my gosh, those are all so we have about 21 different schools.
Can you guys hear us? Can you hear us? Okay, good. Can you guys hear us? Hear us? Okay, good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All kinds of organizations here. We have Chicago-based programs. We have Northeastern Illinois University. We have Level Up. We have New Media. We have our partners that are here from New York and Seattle. So we integrate all these organizations all together. The students are asking questions about like, wow, I didn't know you had a museum in American Museum of Natural History. It's awesome. Everyone's participating in any kind of activity from check out some skulls to doing some coding and robots galore. It's fantastic. We have fun. I'm just so excited to be here. I'm hoping to grab some certificates and come onto my hopefully we'll grab a couple in a second. Thank you.
All right, and just so you guys also know, so right now we're actually doing the presenters gallery here, but in the rest of the cultural center, we actually have students broken up into different groups, and so they're doing something with the rovers, they're actually doing something with Jackie's group and robotics, so there's about 12 other activities that are going on the other end of the cultural center. Hold on, we got students.
It made me do it. It really made me.
Hey, we can't hear you guys. Oh, awesome. Students, always excited to share.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can hear us very well. Hey guys, we can hear you better when you're closer to the computer. Maybe not.
All right, we're going to take you around and show everyone. So we're going to grab the computer and let's go. Let's travel. How many of you come with us? Oh, okay.
An audio. We can do a quick fire that's going on. The Pathways project, which is one of the projects, is STEM Festival at the Cultural Museum, Cultural Center. And what they've actually done is they brought in contributors from other students. The goal of the project is to try to evaluate what it takes college to pathway. So they're looking at
Kenny,
hey there.
say a little something about what you guys are doing.
This
is Kenny here.
This is the Upper Bound Math and Science program at Northeastern. This is the Upper Bound Math and Science University. What we do, we work with STEM, encouraging kids to go into STEM fields to go into college, and we do that through a robotics program over there. And using various tracks, which we hook up to connect.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. I don't think so either. Well, we'll just. No.
You're a high partner in New York, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Great. Tell us about where you're from, your organization, what you're doing with students.
So I'm from the American Museum of Natural History, and and that's what we have some of here today. So students are actually able to visit the museum and take 3D images of dinosaur fossils that were up in the collection, and then 3D print and build dinosaurs.
We do have some important information here.
Okay. Maybe
But bear with me. So as I was saying, this is a great project. You can learn more as we get projects up on our portfolio pages. They're coming soon. So just to close out, one of the themes of today was about membership. Ooh.
Unless you need it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we get.
I'll try it.
Yeah, okay.
I do the screen for my slides. I don't know if it's okay, we'll just do this quick.
Oh my.
Just gotta go.
Yeah, gotta go.
Bye.
Bye.
So, we're trying because one of the things we thought was exciting about that event was that it was happening. We wanted to support them because it was happening today, and a lot of them wanted to be here today. And we couldn't be with them either because it was an awesome event. So I'm going to try to keep this real short because it's all on our website. So all the information I'm about to share is on our website. Go to highchicago.org/membership. It's referenced on these sheets on the front page. And so anything I don't get to, which means with 10 minutes left, we're not going to have a lot of time for Q&A. However, I have thought about your questions because I've got some. And I've answered them. So one of the most important things about membership we want to get out, and Sam said it, is it's about a level of engagement and not about an exclusive club or some kind of thing that is a barrier to participation. Hive's an open community. You guys can come to our meetups anytime you want. This one was a little hectic to plan because the space was smaller than sometimes the spaces we have, so we had to be a little bit tight with RSVPs, but I mean, people pop in all the time. Sometimes we don't see people for 6 months, they come back, it's all good. So always participate with us is great on proposals or on hangouts or on maker parties or whatever. And the goal of the membership is really, like I said, about identifying levels of engagement and about really being intentional about trying to diversify our community. And when I say that, I mean that in a broad sense. Sam mentioned that it takes a network to solve really persistent, challenging problems, but that network is not functional if it's the same people that are saying the same thing again and again and again. That actually does not improve our ability to solve anything. So a diversity of perspectives, experiences, backgrounds, audiences, funding streams, sizes, and other makeups matter, right? All those things matter, and in providing a powerful input on solving a problem. And there's actually statistical proofs of that, so I can prove that mathematically. Okay, and then the things that I really want to get at is what does it actually serve? Like, what function does membership serve? Sorry. And what it does is really allow us to focus on the members of our community who are providing the greatest level of engagement, the most input, the biggest contribution to our work, to the moonshot stuff, to the funded projects, right? It allows us to focus our attention and formalize what it means to contribute and be a member, to visualize who we are, and that's important for that diversity piece, to recognize what those contributions that members make are through membership, and to make accessible resources in a way that's transparent. What we don't want is to say, like, oh yeah, if you talk to us like later, whatever, we'll make sure we hook up this opportunity for you. What we do want to say is, by being a consistent participant and contributor in our community, here are the things that are available to you, and they're transparently open. So membership is, a structure. It's annoying to have to fill out applications, but it does serve an important role, but it's not exclusionary. Right now, there are 3 categories we've established. This has grown a little bit since last year. Why is this getting so complicated? Because our network's actually this complicated, and there's a couple things I'm not going to mention today, but you should pay attention to in some of the writing that we've done on the website. But our network is a little bit complicated, so we've done our best to categorize things. The 3 categories of importance here are organizational members, community members, and non-member allies. Community members and organization members are our first priority when it comes to allocating resources or providing opportunities. They're the people who have demonstrated the most commitment and therefore get the first stab at things. Non-member allies are organizations that are just into this. They want to hang out, they want to be part of it, they want to be included on communications, they support our work, they want to be referenced by us, but they're not willing or able to make that commitment right now. There's so many reasons why it's hard sometimes to engage in a network like this, and we understand that there's barriers, and we want to talk about that if it's an issue. There is ally status as a way to recognize you as well. It gets a tiny bit more complicated when you start looking into things. There are for-profit and nonprofit organizations in our network. There are organizations that serve youth directly. There are organizations that provide services to educators or organizations. And so both matter to us, and there's different designations. Partners are direct service providers to teams in Chicago that are nonprofit status and want to lead on proposals to the high fund RFP. That is a partner. An affiliate is maybe a direct service provider, maybe not, maybe a for-profit, maybe a nonprofit, maybe doesn't care about proposals to the high fund RFP because they're flush. So whatevs. Affiliates are still members and they still matter just as much. They just can't do all of those things. So we just sort for our own good and ask them less questions sometimes. Community members are new. The only thing I want to note quickly is that if you are a renewing organization, yes, we expect that after a year with us, somebody on your staff has earned the community member badge. It's a Hive badge. If this is confusing, a challenge, if you don't get it, if you never got that email from us, if you can't find a Hive badge by clicking through links, just shoot me an email and I'll do my best to help you out. But it is an expectation that renewing members have earned this badge. The vast majority of our community just earned it. They just got it in an email. So dig through your email. It's in your spam, I promise you. Okay, cool. Other thing I'm gonna hit and then I'm gonna just wrap this up. Non-member allies. Another thing, and this matters again when we get into funding and stuff like that, and accounting and measuring and communicating. is that some of you are embedded in other organizations. Some of you are programs at a university. Some of you are initiatives under an initiative for the state of Illinois. Some of you are in some really, really complicated situation. If that's the case, if you would depend on another organization for fiscal structure or operational structure, please make sure that organization, the university or whatnot, is an ally of the Hive. And you do that by finding somebody, probably in the foundation for that university or in the grants management team, who's just willing to provide us their contact information, more or less. And you should be able to navigate that fairly easily. If that's a problem, let me know. And we can also help you with that outreach if necessary, especially if you've applied for funding, then Maria Hibbs has probably talked to those people. Lastly, timeline. Big things that you should know. The application that's due on the 31st is kind of a pre-application. We have an advisory committee that's going to review all of the applications that are submitted by the 1st to just, assess whether or not applicants actually got what they were applying for, and that this is something they actually want and are ready to do. Again, it's about engagement and contribution, and about resource sharing. So we have to make sure that those people understand that that's what it's about, and they're not just submitting a thing. That has happened, and so that's also why we created the ally status, which is to say, well, if you're really just jazzed about this stuff, be an ally. So we're going to review those applications. We're going to think about diversity, and then we're going to make offers for membership. We're going to extend invitations. So after you've applied, we've reviewed, and you've received the invitation on November 14th, then you will have some time to submit some final documentation. There's an MOU, says that you're like all into our stuff. There's basically like we're into your stuff, check, sign. We need some data from you about what you do, how big you are, because we actually look at that stuff and we think about what that means for our network. We're getting better at that. It's new, but we'll be asking for some data. The other piece I want to hit, and then we'll announce final membership stuff after the new year, which is not on here, but the RFP. So this matters for some people because they want to lead on a proposal to the Hive Fund, which is not managed by the network staff, it's managed by the Community Trust, and Maria Hibbs is the lead on that. If you're applying for the Hive Fund, new members cannot apply for round 1 in 2015. So that will be released next month, which we'll talk about in a second about our next meetup. You cannot apply for the 2015 round 1 RFP as a lead organization if you're a new member. Just our rules, we want you to get to know us first before we start giving you money. Well, I don't give it, but the powers that be. I ain't got nothing. And then March 1 is the next round, the second round of the 25th RFP cycle, that new members will be eligible for. We've changed the timing of the RFP, which we'll explain next month, but we've done it to make it way more accommodating to our actual programming schedules. These rounds now represent summer programming and school year programming, not arbitrary dates in the middle of the year. And there's a 4-month gap. So March 1 is when we'll release that RFP. June 1 is when your funding is expected to start. Is that 4 months? I don't know. No, March 1's for the school year. That's why I'm getting confused. So there's a 4-month gap. You get the money in like August to start programming in September. So this guy is for summer programming. This guy's for school year programming. Get into that in more detail. I'm not going to go through all this because these are all the questions I've already received from you, and some I anticipated. They're on the FAQ. So there's an FAQ. If you go to the membership page, you'll see a couple links to the FAQ, and it goes through a couple answers to these. If this still does not satisfy you, please shoot me an email. I'm absolutely certain it won't, because I can't think of everything I have to say. But that's there, and I'm not going to take questions because we're out of time. But what I am going to do, we talked about it. I wanted to, but we just can't. Top level housekeeping things, and I'm going to pass this off to people. So Sam's going to say a few things. Elsa, do you want to say a word or two about CrowdRise when it gets to you? Just heads up. And Samuel will hit the email stuff. Mini group cleanup is happening starting today. So we've made this announcement. It's on mini group. If you do not have, so first of all, if you don't know what mini group is, don't sweat it. You'll find out later. Check the back side of your sheet and look at the bottom. It's one of the ways to connect to us in the blue section. Mini groups are like high octane, too many email zone. So some people are on there. We filled up and we're starting to cut people out because we just don't have room in the group anymore. If you do not have an updated profile, all the instructions are up there. Do that now. People without updated profiles will be the first to go. It's not that simple. We appreciate lurkers in that space. Any strong social media space has people who just read. That is an important function of a social media space. But we also know that, like, you know, you haven't updated your stuff in 3 years, and you're not getting your messages, you're not reading, so we'll be thinking critically about that. Sam, you want to hit the email?
Yeah, just want to holler that, again, our work is positioned in the broader digital media learning work that MacArthur funds. There are 2 things you should know about. One is the trust competition. There's every year a DML competition. Some years it's on badging. This year it's on trust and leveraging digital media to build trust, which is, of course, a key issue in any work that involves young people. So check it out. The DML conference, there's an annual conference that happens typically in March-ish. It is now happening in June in Los Angeles next year. And it's a great opportunity to connect research with practice. There are opportunities for you to submit proposals for the DML conference. Those proposals are due December 1. The Chicago contingent has been deeply connected to this. Last year, Nicole Pinkard was the chair of the DML conference, which was a great thing. This year, I am on the committee, the conference committee. And so the topic of the whole committee, or sorry, the whole conference is around equity. And so take a minute to look at the call for proposals, particularly one that I wrote, very much influenced by the work that you do and thinking about how we are building equity across networks and institutions. CrowdRise is a money-making opportunity for organizations who step forward to be involved in that. That was already mentioned during Vanessa's piece, so I won't say more about it, but please support it if you can.
Hi. So I'm just going to talk about upcoming events. Where we're putting all that stuff now, which is a little bit different than in the past. It used to be a mini group, but now we're putting it on the blog, on the website. So every month I'll post a blog talking about the meetup, I'm sorry, and it'll have all of our upcoming events. So that'll be a quick way to find all of our upcoming events. November and December, we're going to be back at Harold Washington for the meetup. And then the executive breakfast is November 14th. And then Highways 5 is January 15th and 16th. So go ahead and RSVP for all of those things. Yeah.
So yeah, totally. The November meetup is actually, the Eventbrite link's already live, so I'll make sure that that gets out to people. Highways 5 RSVP is on mini groups, so if you're not on that yet, but you want to get, we'll be sending out invitations and opportunities to RSVP soon and explaining what that is. Sam, did you want to say one more thing?
Yeah, I just wanted to say about the executive breakfast. Invitations have gone out to the executives of current Hive member organizations. Unfortunately, because of the timing, those organizations who are applying for membership now won't know about membership in time to be invited to that breakfast. So those are for executives of current member organizations. Don't feel left out. This is an annual thing that we do, and we actively want to engage your leadership in figuring out what you do with 3 hours of your life while you're here working on it. So,
all right.
Because we want you to feel good about those 3 hours and want to know about where you see room for improvement. That feedback form is super critical for you to fill out.
Totes on that. And tote bags up here actually also. If you haven't submitted your connected learning activities on tote bags, so come here for totes. Totes do our feedback form. Please don't leave. Just do it real quick. That's the link. It's an easy link. Caps matter because it's bit.ly and they're knowing about that. So we're gonna put it in exactly like that. We have Chromebooks around and iPads that we can give you if you need a computer to do this. So please submit. The feedback form matters to us. Next meetup is actually going to be a funded project showcase and the release of the next RFP. So tune in for next time and stay around for the CISO Lunch and Crunch. If you want to enter your data into the CISO platform, they'll be here for the next 45 minutes with lunch, crunching away. So make sure you stick around, get your stuff in there, don't go home. What's up? It's not working.
November 20th.
Oh yeah. is November 20th, not the 16th. November 20th, next meetup, November 20th. November 20th is the next meetup. It's the next meetup, it's on November 20th, Jamila. What's up, what's up?
After School Matters, RFP is open also, so if people want to apply for programming for next summer.
Just money floating around everywhere.
Well, we would love that, so please apply, After School Matters.
After School Matters RFP is live. We usually do more share outs. Today was crazy. Thanks for bearing with us. Thanks to the new people who came. Woo! Woo!
Yeah, man. Tweeters get totes too. Everyone gets totes. I don't know. Oh, right here. Oh, brother.